In meditation, the mind is fixed on an object, and usually it's a single object to make things easier. The object has to be clearly perceivable for you and also kind of attractive. Different people find different objects attractive, and thus there are different kinds of meditations. Material objects are perceivable by material senses, and spiritual objects are perceivable by spiritual senses. I will try to keep things simple in this video to not make it too long, but we will dive much deeper into the different aspects of what I'm saying here in detail in future videos. Material objects for meditation could be gross or subtle. They could be physically perceivable by seeing, by hearing, smelling, or whatever. Or they could be just mentally, internally perceivable. These are used, for example, in Tratak, where you focus with open eyes on a visual object, or in the first level of Antamauna, you just hear the sounds in your surroundings, or meditation on bodily sensations, or meditation on your breathing, or guided meditation where you sit or lie with closed eyes and internally visualize or experience certain things or situations or feelings. While you are meditating with these different kinds of meditations, your thought process is going on simultaneously. So the thoughts could be kind of in the way of clearly meditating. They could drag your attention away. And that is actually what practically always happens in meditation. We are for some time fixed on our object, and then thoughts are coming and suddenly we lose our focus. But there is also a very powerful, advanced method of meditating, which is to make your own thoughts the object of your meditation. While you are meditating on whatever object, you are gaining a special power. And that is that you can perceive yourself very clearly as the experiencer, as distinct from what you are experiencing, the object. Even if the object is your own thoughts, there is a clear distinction. There is a distance between you as observer and the observed. And you can clearly experience the thing for what it really is, without judgment. When you are not meditating in your so-called normal state, everything is a mess. So many impressions, you have your prejudices, your judgments, and your environment, the things you perceive, also have their subtle influences on you, which you are usually not conscious of. While you are meditating, you are completely aware of the nature of the object. And at the same time, you are not getting entangled with it. You don't identify with it. This becomes especially useful when you are meditating on the content of your mind. You can experience yourself as different from the content of your mind. You are just the observer, and the thoughts are the observed. you can experience a clear distinction between the two. You are putting a distance between yourself and the content of your mind. And that is actually very healthy. It gives a lot of clarity, a lot of understanding of reality. Here you can realize that you are really different by nature from your body and your mind. You are of a different quality altogether. And the key point here is to maintain the position of a neutral observer. This is also called the witness attitude. You don't involve with the objects of your meditation. You don't identify. You take a step back. You only identify with your power of observing, not with what is being observed. Now, if your object of meditation could be spiritual, that would make a huge difference. That would completely change the situation. You, as the observer, are by nature spiritual. The soul is spiritual. So if your object of meditation could be spiritual, then you wouldn't want to create any distance. You would like to get as close as possible. You want to enter into that source of spiritual bliss. You want to join the transcendence. The problem is you can't perceive a spiritual object with your material senses, nor with your material mind. You need to be actually an advanced spiritual practitioner to come to the state where you have your spiritual senses developed, or let's say purified, in order to be able to perceive spiritual objects. The soul actually possesses spiritual senses. It is not that you can artificially just create spiritual senses. They are already there, but presently they are covered by matter, and thus they have become dysfunctional. So, by spiritual practices, you have to purify your spiritual senses in order to be able to perceive the spiritual reality. There is a very powerful spiritual practice which is exactly doing that, and that is mantra meditation. And for two reasons. The first reason is that mantra meditation is working with sound. And sound is something, it's such a powerful source to capture the mind. It has a very strong influence on our consciousness. And the second reason is that there is actually something like spiritual sound. And that is a spiritual mantra. Not all mantras are spiritual, but there are spiritual mantras, which are at the same time audible for your material sense of hearing. But the essence of that sound is spiritual. In this way, a spiritual mantra makes a connection between the material plane and the spiritual plane. Spiritual mantras contain the names of the Absolute. Absolute, by its nature, by definition, is the source of everything in existence. Everything material and everything spiritual. And it possesses the power to convert something material into something spiritual. Thus, spiritual sound has a capacity to cross through all the layers of your consciousness and directly touch your soul. So your attitude in mantra meditation has to change. You don't want to be a neutral observer. You want to receive the sound with an open heart. You want the sound to touch your soul. With this disposition and a few other conditions, spiritual sound can become something like the strongest purifying force in this universe for your consciousness. I'm personally practicing mantra meditation for around 30 years now. It is my most important tool on my spiritual path, and I'm looking forward to telling you more about that in future videos. Take care.